Anyway, not to diminish, of course, the two cracking studio panellists that we have in the studio right now. Happy Christmas to all. Joining us now this morning is lawyer and futurist Andrew Eborn and author Robina Khan. You're going to take us through, so there's no papers today, but there is online news, right? Who wants to start? Ladies first.
All right, the cost of living.
No, that'll bring us down.
Oh, I wish I hadn't done that now.
I think Christmas Day is about celebration, and I think the Christmas Day today we should be celebrating all the volunteers and the charities out there, the food bank workers, people going out, and then particularly on this occasion that everyone deserves a Christmas appeal to Swansea, who have been distributing hampers, and these hampers have got, they're a value of about £50. They've got a roast in there, they've got roast potatoes, all the veggies to go in there, and I think when we think about cost of living, we also have to celebrate that unique sense of people coming together, communities coming together, people rallying together, and I think that's the spirit of Christmas. And that's
there's nothing that unites people more than a common enemy.
Yes.
And the cost of living crisis is a common enemy. If we re-look at the way we think about food, re-educate people, basically half the world's starving, but there's enough food to feed everybody. So look at food redistribution. I mentioned earlier the charity I'm involved with, UK Harvest, and others about educating people about food. Lad Baby at #1, talking about food banks, so people aware of it, so people can work out there is help out there. We are all in this together. We're on the same ocean, not on the same boat, but on the same ocean. Try and make people aware of what is possible, what help is there available at this time of year, I think is important.
Definitely. Andrew, let's have a look at quite an awkward exchange today, shall we?
Poor old Rishi. And you tend to find that the politicians like to get down with the people. They make inappropriate comments, and you can tell it's like Theresa May dancing to Dancing Queen, all that sort of stuff. When they try and deal with ordinary folk, it doesn't always turn out very well. So this was an unfortunate exchange with Rishi. He went to a homeless centre, and basically it was an excruciating exchange, they said, because he was asking them if he's going to get into financial services when he visited the centre. And the man replied, said, would you like to get into that? He said, I wouldn't mind, but I don't know. I'd like to get through Christmas first. And it rather reminded me, I was saying, about the unfortunate exchange that Lady Sarah Hussey had. You might remember.
Susan.
Sarah was her sister. She had an even worse exchange. But Susan Hussey, you're right. The exchange that she had, asking, where are you from? And I always say it's about intention. If it's about what do they actually intend when they're trying to do this, they're trying to liaise with people and so on and so forth, it's ill-advised or maybe no advice at all. So learn the art of small talk, learn what you can say without putting your foot in it. I don't think Rishi intended to cause offence. It was naive.
I've got a feeling we might have a clip of it, do we? No, we don't. Well, I'll tell you what, that was wishful thinking.
Let's go back to Bruce Willis on the Christmas tree.
Yes, but I mean, it does sound a little bit like, look, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm bashing Rishi or anything like that, but I mean, that is an absolutely terrible question to ask at home. So, are you in business? Are you going to get into business? And it doesn't help when it comes to the idea that he's a bit out of touch, does it?
He's certainly out of touch, and I think he should remember the homeless man who died on the streets next to his dog in Hull. If you remember, he put his dog to bed the night before. It was outside Costa. In the morning, he was found dead. And I think, and I'm sure he must have read about this story, but it's the sensitivity in going to this place. And we talked about advising. Well, who were the advisors and why wasn't he briefed? And should he not have these this understanding?
Does it need advising, though?
Well, for some people, I mean, for example, as we've had this discussion about Rishi Sunak in terms of his interaction, and some people are born into wealth. There is no, we don't, need to.
He wasn't born into massive wealth.
But it's the interaction of understanding the people that you have put this £2 billion household homeless budget forward. Well, who are the people? They are.
I do get that. The one thing I would say, just to counter it, is, everyone's capable of, a poor turn of phrase. Goodness knows I am. I mean, I've done at least 55 of them already today. But, everyone's capable of, a little bit of a faux pas. I'm not sure it necessarily translates as though he doesn't care or whatever, but it could do. Anyway, there we go. What else we got?
Well, I think, but just on that point very briefly, it detracted from the main message. And he was there to pledge 2 billion to tackle homelessness and rough sleeping over 3 years. That was the really positive thing on that sort of basis, which was a shame. In terms of other stories, we were talking about the King's speech and what's going to happen. This is going to happen about
ticking on the King's speech.
3 o'clock. To make that make sense, it's happening very, very soon, isn't it? He'll be limbering up in St George's Chapel, which is an appropriate place because it's where both his mother and father laid to rest. It's the first King's speech we've had for over 70 years, and every time we talk about the King's speech, we're always reminded of the movie, the 2010 movie which we were talking about in the green room, and that wonderful one with Colin Firth and Geoffrey Rush and that sort of side. What I particularly like looking at the King's speech story is the fact that the very first King's speech was written by the person who wrote the Jungle Book, Rudyard Kipling, and I always said, I'm the king, the king of the swingers, and they worked on that sort of basis. But it's going to be interesting. He will undoubtedly pay tribute to Her Majesty the Queen, who served us brilliantly throughout her life. In her very first Queen's speech, she praised her father, who died at a very tender age, and in her last Queen's speech, she praised her husband. I'm sure that Prince Charles will be doing the same about his mother.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very emotional for lots of people not seeing Her Majesty at 3 p.m. and seeing King Charles instead. It's certainly going to be different. Rubina, should we have a little look at our Santa tracker, see where Santa is in the world?
Is he still in Vegas?
Is he still in Vegas? That's the question. Let's have a look.
Where is he?
No, he's in Alaska. Look at top left-hand corner. Look, tells you where he is.
I just thought your map knowledge was incredible. Ellie, you just got to show her any map at any time. She knows exactly where it is.
Okay. Santa's probably delivered all his presents, and all the families are waking up now to getting ready for Christmas dinner. They'll have Christmas lunch at 2 o'clock. Get ready for the King's speech. But it's really interesting, though, the number of people who are going to watch the Christmas films. I think this should be a tracker as to what films are going to be watched. And I'm reminded of Scrooge. And the Christmas Carol, all of those really traditional films. And
is that your favourite Christmas film?
I think it's because I was brought up in Kent. I was brought up in Rochester, so the Dickens Centre was just round the corner, the Dickens High Street. And I remember growing up, and my brother used to dress up as a chimney sweep, and we were part of one of the Scrooge's, you know, the stories of Dickens. And I think that at that time you just have that feeling, and I think Christmas Carol, Scrooge, those are things that
it's
make
a Wonderful
Christmas.
Life. It's got to be one of the
That's my favourite
ever.
That's my favourite.
Oh, you must watch it. I took the whole family. I hired a cinema with the most glorious thing, the plumpest possible cushions that you could have, espresso martinis on the side. and we watched it. You will weep through that movie. It's one of the most touching movies you will ever see, and it's a message for our time about when you're on your lowest possible point, there is hope out there. And the difference that you will make to the world is tremendous. Go and watch it.
It's a classic. It's an absolute classic, isn't it?
It's an absolute classic. It really, really is. I believe that is time on that paper review, even though there's no papers. But thank you very much for your time. Joy to have you. Rubina, Andrew, thank you very much. Are you with us next hour? Do we have another hour?
I hope so.
I think you are. Yes.
Fingers crossed.
See you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless they go on strike, everyone else is.